Michigan Republican gubernatorial nominee Tudor Dixon campaigned against Democratic incumbent Gretchen Whitmer on Thursday. Focusing on the issue of education, Dixon hammered Whitmer over COVID-19 era lockdowns as well as school curricula. Recent polling shows Dixon within striking distance of the first-term Democrat, and she is seeking to pull off a similar upset as Glenn Youngkin in Virginia's 2021 gubernatorial contest. The issue of education and parental rights were crucial in helping Youngkin become the first Republican since 2009 to win Old Dominion's governor's mansion. Should Dixon prevail over Whitmer, it would be a major upset. Whitmer is a rising Democratic star and was reportedly an early contender to become President Biden's vice presidential pick.
How many of you think schools were closed for 3 months? I came in and there were a few folks in the back and they said, when you said there was an audible gas, there were audible gas in our house, in our homes. They said, both of them said that their kids were the ones who went, what? I was on my back earlier and he said, do you think she thinks she's a Jedi? We all remember, but that's not even, it's not, we were joking about it, but it's really a serious issue. The reason we remember it every single day is because Michigan has had such a significant amount of learning loss. We just got our NAEP scores back, and that shows us where our 4th and 8th graders are in reading and math. And we dropped farther than we've ever dropped. The state of Michigan is in really bad shape right now. We're in the bottom 10 in education. The bottom 10 in education, but the top 10 in crime. Gretchen Whitmer wants to say bad things about me. I don't have to say bad things about Gretchen Whitmer. I can just look at her record and say she's not qualified. The fact of the matter is she's been in office for 20 years. So when she goes after me and says, I couldn't fix the roads because it's been a decades-long problem, I'm like, it's funny, because you've been in office for decades. That's the funny part about that. You actually had your chance, so now it's time for you to be fired. What makes them the most mad is, how could she possibly be where she is? That's the funny part about having a really good message, that even if you don't have $25 million, you might actually be able to catch up to the person who does.
Yeah.
But it was interesting because when I came out of the primary, one of the news anchors said to me, how do you possibly think for a minute that you could get the name ID that Gretchen Whitmer has across the state? It kind of reminded me of when Donald Trump came out and said, we're going to build a wall, Mexico's going to pay for it? I was like, you know what? Everybody in the state is going to know my name, and Gretchen Whitmer's going to pay for it. Then they're like, but Tudor is a really unusual name. No one will know if you're a woman or a man. And I'm like, don't worry, she's going to put my picture next to mine. It turns out she did, but she's regretting that now. It's a lot easier to run against someone that no one's ever heard of, but I've been on the TV every 5 seconds. So I'm really grateful to the Democrats for helping me out. So it's been a joy to work with them. They are really, I think they're really helping Republicans across the country, and I believe that we are going to see a very strong red wave. The first part is that they are so tone deaf that they actually are attacking the idea that parents are upset with what's happening in schools right now. So, we're in this debate and we're talking about these books that are in schools. I don't know, have you guys heard anything about the fact that parents are a little upset about a sexual she was like, we asked her about that. She wouldn't answer. She would not respond about what she would do about these books at all. But then she makes a statement of, she thinks that books are more dangerous than guns. No, I'm actually going to do something about both. It's about time we take care of our children's safety, no matter what the problem is. And again, when she tells me that we had a shooting in Michigan, I say, you were in office and what have you done? I mean, you can stand here and tell me that you think this is dangerous or that is dangerous, but I'm not picking and choosing on what's going to be dangerous to our kids. I'm going to make sure our kids are safe no matter what.
Yes.
With this sexual content in our schools. And if you're willing to mock us, then you're not willing to stand for us. And that speaks volumes.
Yeah.
And you know what? When I was a little kid, I learned a phrase that I think you probably have all heard once in your life. Actions speak louder than words.
That's right.
She's had the opportunity to take action for 20 years. Education in Michigan has never been this low. The bottom 10 in the country. And then she has the nerve to stand there and say, I put more money into education than I would before. Well, you know what she did? She vetoed scholarships for reading when our kids needed them the most. She vetoed funding for summer school when our kids needed it the most. We come out of a pandemic, and guess what? She had already vetoed funding for autism. And then we go into a situation where families that have kids with special needs need more help than ever before. But don't worry, because those kids were only out of school for 3 months. Don't trust these lies. I mean, it's so bizarre to me because when we first started running, we were talking about all of the things that she had done and how hard it had been on the state. But then to sit there on stage with her, and it was going into that, I'm going to admit, it's a lot of pressure because I wanted to make sure I spoke for everybody in this room and everybody in the state. And I thought, so many people want to say so many things to her. And I'm the one that is going to go in there and I want to do it well. I want to make sure that you are all heard. But to have her act like it never happened, to have her smile, as she said, the kids were out of school for 3 months, and then today I look at the media and I'm like, what a joke, because you've got all of these media coming to her rescue. That's not coming to my rescue. No. They're all coming to her rescue, like, so technically my our kids were out of school. I mean, I'm at the point where I'm getting very angry about this because she's like, she wants to look backwards. No, I think that she's not understanding. This is a performance review. Guess what? That's what happens in the private sector when you actually have a job. You get a performance review. That's sort of what happens when you're a politician when your term is up. You get a performance review. And so far, I believe she won't understand this because she's not paying attention to education, but I give her that. Yes. So we were asked on the debate stage what we would do about the opioid crisis. And she says, we have to work on healthcare systems. My mother got really sick. And my whole team said at that point, we're like, did she not hear the question? And then I realized, oh, she doesn't care. And she doesn't care because, again, I go back to that actions speak louder than words. We have had a major crisis in the state. In 21, we had the most overdose deaths we've ever had, the most overdoses we've ever had in the state. You know why she doesn't want to say anything about it? Because Joe Biden has an open border. Yeah. That's right. And she can't say anything about that because she's made it very clear she's riding with Biden.
Right.
On multiple occasions. She, even to the point of having him into the state, which I think is funny because there's Democrats like, no. Don't come in our state. We're good with that. But it's not Gretchen. Gretchen's like, no, come, let's dance on the grave of the auto industry together. We'll hold hands and walk through the auto show. And we were, it was funny because you get that picture, we're like, are they holding hands? Yeah. I'm like, is she holding him up? So then the media, who loves the Democrats, comes out and they're like, oh, so sweet, Gretchen Whitmer and Joe Biden were at the other show holding hands. And I'm like, how do you think those headlines would have gone if it was Tudor Dixon and Donald Trump holding hands? Very sweet. I can tell you that. I'm like, America's grandfather. I'm like, I don't think they'd be saying that about Trump. So that's what we're up against. And that is the beauty of this campaign, because I hear her on multiple occasions say she's fighting like hell, all of these terrible words. Well, we're fighting with prayer. And that means we don't need as much money as them, because we have a lot more power behind us. And there is no issue that we are going to ignore in this state. When someone asks me about the opioid crisis, I take it seriously. I take it seriously because I know that probably the majority of the people in this room have had that affect their family in some way. I know I have. My sister-in-law lost a brother. This is a serious issue. It doesn't discriminate. It'll go after anybody. Anybody in the entire country. And you know why it's so bad in the United States? Because of that open border. But the really crazy part about the open border, we call it an open border. But just so you know, our border is not open. It is controlled completely by the cartels.
That's right.
Nothing comes in and out of our southern border that is not completely controlled by the cartels. And the cartels, that's an ugly system. I went to the Oakland Crime Lab a few weeks ago. The girl was showing me, I'm testing these 2 blocks of cocaine, and I was shocked. These huge blocks, bricks of cocaine. I said, my goodness, where did that even come from? She said, well, we found it at a house down the street. And she said, but this is what I'm testing next. And she pulls out a brick, same size, fentanyl. And I said, how many people can that kill? And she said, oh, this would kill millions.
Yeah.
That's what's coming across this border that the Democrats don't want to say anything about. This is a woman who will tell you, I support the police. Well, first of all, she supported the criminals over the police for years. She came out and she's marched with defund the police. She says she supports the spirit of defund the police. Now that there's an election coming up, she suddenly supports the police. She vetoed funding for secondary road patrols. She vetoed funding for more corrections officers. She's manipulated the numbers to have lesser violations and fill our jails and empty our prisons to make it look like we have a lower recidivism rate, but crime is still rising in the state of Michigan. She claims she supports the police. The sheriffs had their convention in Grand Rapids over the weekend. We were both invited. Guess who went?
Yeah.
Not Gretchen Whitmer. They said, Governor Snyder never missed a single meeting. He was here every time to hear what we had to say, because public safety is a fundamental of government. It's one of the fundamentals. We have to provide education, public safety, infrastructure. I would say she's a failure on all three.
That's right.
So we go there, we meet with the corrections, or the jail directors, the jail coordinators, and they go through all their problems. All the issues with folks that have mental health issues that are in the jails, that should be in hospitals, but she's reduced the beds. We go through all of this. They say, thank you so much for actually listening. What is the job? It's to go out and find out what's happening in the state. She doesn't even go to the office, let alone go to Grand Rapids and talk to the people that are standing up for us every day, that are putting their lives on the line for us every day. In a Dixon administration, we will always support the police. Amen.
All right.
And she talks about economic development and bringing and keeping the auto industry here. We've watched the auto industry state of Michigan. But we have an opportunity. We're at a crossroads, and this is the time. We will bring our schools back and make sure there is no wrong